This is a drive along Westheimer Road in Houston while I'm in Houston and I'm playing music at Betsy's at Evelyn's Park. Westheimer Road is a 19-mile-long road that is a part of the heart of the city of Houston. Some people also call it the artery of Houston, of course, because it is a super long road that spans from around the downtown area, east and west, all the way past what's called the inner loop of Houston, which is the 610 freeway, and the outer loop, the second major loop of highway that circles around the city, which is Beltway 8. All along this way, you can find high-end shopping and low-end shopping and nightlife, restaurants, a whole mixture of spots, even some strip clubs and some nightclubs too along the way. And the video here starts at the east start of Westheimer Road on Bagby Street. It's right at the edge of the Midtown region of Houston, and so we are in the area that's called Montrose. In terms of popular nightlife and music, the first spot that we're passing by here is Numbers Nightclub. This goes back all the way to 1978. It's a big cultural gathering spot, a whole mix of eclectic people that is considered the ABGB of Houston, where a lot of up-and-coming bands have played there, like Nine Inch Nails and Red Hot Chili Peppers. They've got really popular DJ nights. A little bit further down the road is another really popular spot called Avant Garden. This is in a historic old house where they have a social patio and a bar and a lounge. So they have cool events there. Sometimes they've got jazz music on the inside, for example, and they got music on their outside stage, open mic nights, magic, burlesque, comedy, poetry, and more. Also, a little bit further along the road, another place that has live music is Fiora's Bottle Shop. This place is more fancy looking and it's tucked away, so I can't show you it exactly, but I can show you the Montrose Collective mixed use development that it is a part of. This is a fancy place. It looks really nice, and the little restaurants and shopping areas around here look pretty nice too. Passing along the street here, where it gets even more vibrant in the Montrose neighborhood, is Montrose Live, where they set up a market on the weekends where they've got vendors and food trucks, and they have live music there as well. And continuing further along Westheimer here in the Montrose neighborhood, there's a notable place on the right-hand side of the road here called Catbirds. This is a neighborhood bar since 1995, an unassuming, low-lit hangout with cocktails, and they've had some music there lately as well. So overall, this Montrose neighborhood is really cool. There's a lot of restaurants and nightlife and bars, and there's a whole mix of vintage clothing stores, flea market kind of things that are happening along there, as well as coffee shops. And probably the end of this region of Montrose is represented by the Agora coffee shop. Once you head west from there, you're heading into a different area. All along this area, you can find a scattering of parks and fast food restaurants, hardware stores, just a whole mixture of places. Although we're still driving along with a two-lane road here going west on Westheimer. You can start to see some of the big, tall buildings out there on the horizon. And you run past Kirby Street there, which is a street I often find myself going down. It's right off of I-69 or I-59. There's a little stretch of restaurants along this street, and you've got the Mucky Duck there, which sometimes I find myself taking the Kirby exit to go to the Mucky Duck. And as you continue along, you head into the River Oaks residential community. They've got palatial homes here. That means that they're fancy homes. So it's luxury living in historic and sprawling estates. They've got boutique shopping and restaurants and art galleries. And there's a lot of palm trees that you could find out there lining this road, where ultimately you make it into the River Oaks district. They say that they're Houston's gathering place for fashion, dining, art, and culture, where you can shop the most coveted brands. So they've got a whole parking structure there where you can walk around and see all these stores. And we're gonna take a quick detour here to stop off at one of these places called the Lock Bar. They say they're a raw bar bar with elixirs. I just found myself a whiskey mixed drink that they had, and they had live music from Christopher L.R. Goodwin playing. So at this point, we're still inside what's called the inner loop of Houston, which is still inside 610. We've gone about 4.5 miles along Westheimer Street, and it can take a bit over 10 minutes to do this drive. Around this part of the drive, the street turns into 3 lanes. And one of the first notable intersections here is the Westheimer and Post Oak intersection. Right beyond the inner loop, they have the beginning of these iconic looking rings that are 40 feet wide that mark much of the Galleria area. I believe there's 6 of them total, and they serve as street signs, but they also look like urban jewelry. This one here at the Post Oak intersection doesn't look as fancy as the next one that I can show you. But I do want to note that I found out that the Westheimer and Post Oak intersection has actually been regarded as an unofficial town square. So apparently when they want to have political gatherings and create political messages, they'll gather around this intersection here. And this is where we find ourselves in Uptown Houston. They also call this the Galleria area, where they have the Galleria Mall, which is a big old retail complex. They say that they are still in the heart of Houston here, where they say you can discover the exciting urban experience of uncommon beauty, gracious character, and dynamic spirit. They've got designer boutiques, chains, department stores, and they have a year-round ice rink here. Some folks might associate it to be Houston's versions of the Rodeo Drive that they have in Beverly Hills. As you continue to move along there, you're moving along from outside the inner loop to the outer loop, which is Beltway 8. So now we're between the 610 and Beltway 8 highways, driving along Westheimer. Around this part, it becomes 4 lanes of traffic going in one direction. And around this time, I could remind you that one of the reasons Westheimer is kind of an iconic street is because all along here, all of the things that we've seen represents a real diversity of race and religion, color, creed, thoughts, experiences, beliefs, and a whole range of retail offerings and strip malls. One time I was, taking an Uber or something, and the driver reminded me that Houston has like 10,000 restaurants. They likened it to how New York City has tons of restaurants, and this is a street where you could find a lot of them all along. Now, this 4-mile stretch going from 610 West up to Fondren Road is noted as one of the most dangerous sections of road in the city in terms of car accidents and pedestrian accidents, people riding bikes, people trying to walk about. One of the big reasons is that the streets are so wide, and so you have to do a lot of walking if you're trying to cross any of the intersections here. There's also enough space where cars can pick up quite a bit of speed here, and I think that they're in a hurry at this point to get from Houston to wherever they're trying to go, maybe outside of Houston. And of course, you start with some really nice sidewalks around the Galleria area, and as you move out from there, the sidewalks become more cracked and less appealing. But everybody's experience of Westheimer is different. Obviously, since this is such a long street, there's many people who live along here, and they find restaurants that they like to go to. They find community gathering spots. They've got a church here. They took family photos somewhere along here. So they create their own unique memories, and Westheimer serves in that purpose in some capacity, and it makes them think fondly of it. Out here along this stretch now, we're around what's called the Midwest region of Houston, or the Briarmeadow subdivision. There's 55,000 people that live around this area. And continuing further west from there, you find Beltway 8, which is marking the outer loop of Houston. At this point, we're 10 miles along Westheimer Road. So we're about halfway along the full distance of the road. And this whole drive along Westheimer, it could take 40 minutes to do. I'm definitely not doing the whole thing on this day, but it gives you a sense of how expansive this street is, where about halfway along is bigger than many of the towns across the United States. I did continue a little bit west of Beltway 8 here along Westheimer, where you still got those strip malls. You can still find restaurants there, and you can begin to have a feeling that you're moving outside of Houston proper. And I've pointed out all the regions that have live music right along Westheimer Street as we've been driving along. A lot of them were in the earlier part when we were around the Montrose neighborhood. But I'm continuing a little bit west of Beltway 8 because there is one more spot here that I'm aware of that has live music, and that's the Bull and Bear. But ultimately, let's head on down to Betsy's at Evelyn's Park. This is located inside the inner loop, south of Westheimer in the Bel Air neighborhood, where I enjoyed playing music for the folks hanging out there on this nice day.
What the future holds, well, I don't know, but I'm taking you with me wherever I go. What the future holds, this much is true. You're looking at me and I'm looking back at you. Back at you. Let's buy a mansion up on the hill. We could stare at the people through the windowsill. They're walking their streets, they've been walking their dogs, and they're picking up groceries and going to the mall. What the future holds, well, I don't know, but I'm taking you with me wherever I go. What the future holds, this much is true. You're looking at me and I'm looking back at you. Back at you.
Thanks for checking out this video. This is not the first video I posted about this area of Houston. I've got some videos about the Montrose neighborhood that you could check out in the description below. You could also click on my YouTube channel and check out the tons of videos that I have there about touring around Texas and the music scene of Texas and my own songs. See which thumbnails interest you, give those videos a view, and thank you for giving this video a view.